That documentary on Katherine Johnson was amazing.
True, I'm so inspired, but I don't want to write this so many words.
Yeah, there are so many questions to answer, bro.
I'm tired.
What the hell is that?
Oh, hello. You must be from Daily Science. I wasn't expecting you this early. Wasn't the interview scheduled for 3 p.m.?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure. Come have a seat.
Yeah, we're just a bit early.
Yeah, we're ahead of the schedule actually.
Is everything all right?
Yeah.
I was just working on a new project and maybe you people will get to see a little glimpse of that.
Yeah, that sounds really fascinating. I think we should start from the beginning.
Yeah, so I think childhood would be a great way to begin. So would you tell me how did you develop an interest in mathematics when mostly children find it very intimidating?
I believe more people are scared of maths than spiders. Well, talking about my early life, I was born in 1918 in West Virginia, a time when educational opportunities for black children, especially black girls, was very limited. But my parents valued education deeply. My father worked as a farmer and a handyman, and my mother was a teacher. But they made sure that I do not miss on any educational opportunity. I loved numbers from a very young age, because of which I skipped several grades and then started high school at the age of 10. And by the age I was 14, I was ready for college.
That's actually really incredible.
Yeah, it's not every day you hear about someone being in high school at just 10.
So, do you think the people around you played a role in this?
Absolutely. My parents encouraged my education, even though opportunities for African American or black students were very limited. My father believed I could do anything I set my mind to. Apart from my parents, I admired my teacher, Miss Dr. Shiflin Claytor, who was the third African American to gain a PhD in mathematics. And it was actually Dr. Shiflin Claytor who encouraged me to pursue a degree in advanced mathematics when I was at State Virginia College. I was also inspired by the idea that numbers were absolute and there was no racial or gender bias or discrimination in them, which was, I guess, one of the major reasons why I was more inclined towards numbers and mathematics, and I did not miss on any opportunities to study them.
And you've told about your education journey. So what do you think, in what ways has this shaped your NASA journey?
At West Virginia State College, I majored in mathematics with a minor in French. And I graduated with a distinction at just 18 years old. I was one of the black or Negro students, as they used to call us, who chose to integrate West Virginia's graduate program, though I did not complete my degree at that time. Training in analytical geometry and mathematics, especially in problem-solving skills, developed and prepared me for later what I did at NASA.
It's really amazing how your early experiences and education journey has set the stage for your career at NASA.
So, can you please tell us a little about the kind of work you did as a mathematician in NASA?
Sure, I'm a mathematician, or as they call us, a computer at NASA. I worked on complex orbital mechanics and trajectory analysis, which ensured the success of America's first manned spaceflight. My calculations helped send Ellen Shepard to space in 1961 and John Glenn into the orbit in 1962. Later, I also worked on Apollo 11, which landed the humans on Moon in 1969, on the Apollo 13 mission, my calculations helped bring the astronauts back on Earth safely after their oxygen tanks had exploded. My work was critical because in early days of space flight, computers were new and unreliable, so the astronauts mainly relied on my calculations and the computer's calculations.
So, out of all the work you did, what would you say was your most important contribution to space exploration?
One of my most famous contributions was calculating the trajectory for John Glenn's Friendship 7 mission in 1962. He was the first American to orbit the Earth, as you already know, and he personally requested me to check the computer's calculations before he would fly. Their trust meant everything to me.
Mr. Glenn trusted your calculations so much, and they must have been very critical for the mission success. So how did they really ensure that everything went as planned?
I calculated the precise path his aircraft would take and made sure that it would land safely after orbiting the Earth. If my math had slightly been off, he could have ended up or crashed anywhere in the space. So it was a great responsibility on my shoulders. My work also helped develop the Apollo moon landing mission for its return trajectory, ensuring astronauts reach the Earth safely.
Whoa, your calculations were really a matter of life and death.
Beyond those historic flights, how has your work shaped modern day aerospace mathematics?
The principles I used are still foundational to today's space travel. My work in orbital mechanics and trajectory analysis laid the groundwork for how space missions are planned today, even with the advanced computers. NASA continues to build for missions to Mars and beyond on my findings.
So, do you believe there were any opposition to your work or the inclusion of women in scientific fields?
The opposition wasn't direct, but it was more systematic. When I joined NASA, women, especially black women, were often overlooked for key roles and decision-making positions. We were called computers because we did the calculations by hand. But men were typically the ones who would take the credit for discoveries, for major discoveries. Women weren't expected to take part in technical discussions or meetings. I had to push my way in and prove that I belong there. Our society largely believes that STEM, mathematics, engineering are fields essentially made for males, and thus it is a male-dominated field. Women are not encouraged to join STEM. Since a very young age, they are encouraged to join social sciences, humanities, and opt for professions like teachers or secretaries rather than scientists or engineers.
So being a woman and that too being of an African American descent, have you faced any challenges in your field of work?
Racial discrimination is enforced in many workplaces, no matter how big or small, including NASA too. There are separate bathrooms and cafeterias for black employees. Women, especially black women like myself, were often excluded from important meetings and discussions, but I refused to accept that. I deliberately walked into those meetings because I knew my work there was important.
I'm actually curious to know that did anyone critique your work or ever doubted your calculations?
In science, as you would already know, every calculation is checked and then rechecked multiple times. That's just the nature of our work. We had to be precise. But that was different for me, as I had to prove myself more than others because of two factors: my gender and the amount of melanin in my skin. I wasn't just expected to be good. I had to prove everyone that I was better than others in order to be taken seriously. Computers, the machines, not us women, were starting to be used for calculations, and some engineers trusted them more than the human calculations us women did. But when John Glenn was about to depart for his historic orbit in 1962, he personally asked me to verify his computer's numbers before he would advance. That moment showed the confidence my colleagues had in my work and helped me prove myself to all the people in my organization.
To overcome these barriers and to gain recognition for the hard work you did, I'm sure you must have used some strategies. So can you please elaborate on that?
The rule is simple: let your work speak for itself. I always asked questions and challenged ideas and refused to be ignored, no matter how annoying I appeared in front of my colleagues. When John Glenn personally requested me to verify his calculations, it was the I did it moment for me. I Also, apart from that, I also mentor young women to enter fields like STEM so that the next generation of young girls won't get to face the same barriers and situation myself and my colleagues face.
So this is a really crucial time in the field of space exploration and advancement. So do you think there are more important figures that have contributed in these missions and in this field of study?
I work alongside many brilliant minds, both in NASA and otherwise. You might have heard of Dorothy Wagon, a fellow mathematician and the first black female supervisor at NASA. Mary Jackson, who was NASA's first black female aerospace engineer. Outside of NASA, Albert Einstein, Richard Feynman are among the leading physicists of my time, and I highly indulge in their work.
That's truly inspiring.
Your perseverance and determination paved the way for so many future scientists.
Yeah, so before we wrap up, we'd like to ask that despite so many hurdles and challenges, what was that one thing that motivated you to move forward in this field?
Well, science is all about discovery and there's always something new to learn. In fact, I've been working on something really fascinating recently. Why don't I show it to you? Yeah, here it is. Where did it go? Wait a minute. Could it be?
Did we really just
Meet Katherine Johnson? No way.
guess who's gonna get A on this
Us.
assignment?
Slay!
Did we really just
Meet Katherine Johnson? No way.
guess who's gonna get A on this
Us.
assignment?
Slay!